I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be telling you why I personally love attachment theory. Obviously, you can see I have a channel about attachment theory, but why? Well, if you guessed that maybe I was in a relationship once, you're right. I dated a woman with dismissing attachment for 6 years. The relationship went well for the first 2 years and then took a turn and then slowly degraded over time. The relationship ended up becoming a really interesting case study, an education in how dismissing attachment presents in real life, especially in the context of a romantic relationship. Now, I didn't find out about attachment theory until the last year of that relationship, but that doesn't mean that I didn't notice things and intuitively know there was something not right there. I saw what looked like a fear of intimacy, self-sabotage, emotional repression, but I didn't really have the words or the confidence, clarity to really know what it was or if I was on the right track. When I did start learning about attachment theory, it became increasingly clear that everything that made me uncomfortable, upset, or dissatisfied in my relationship had an explanation and a common cause. In therapy or in life, when we go through something painful, it's important to make meaning and make sense out of that experience. It can help us resolve it and move on. I love attachment theory because it was able to effectively explain the relationship, her behaviors, and my behaviors. As I worked to understand how everything fit together, I saw that network of connections as a map that I could navigate, an attachment map, and hence the name of the channel. A lot of us go through life with this vague sense of what's healthy or not healthy in relationships. But if we don't know anything about relationship concepts, it can feel very subjective, like it's just a matter of opinion. And we may even defer to people around us who sound like they know what they're talking about. I love attachment theory because it shows us from science that what makes up a healthy relationship is not just a matter of opinion. Humans didn't just make up an arbitrary set of rules. This is something that is encoded in our very biology. Now, I'm not saying that attachment theory is going to tell us how quickly we need to text our partner back. And in psychology, right and wrong aren't scientific concepts. They're really philosophical ones. But we know the exact kind of caregiving that will make an infant secure. And we know how secure adults think and see the world. We know how insecure attachment defenses distort reality. And if we extrapolate from there, that can give us a lot of clarity and guidance on what is healthy, what our basic needs are in relationships, and what might fall into abuse. People do some weird, odd, and interesting things. Before I knew about attachment theory, I chalked up a lot of what I noticed to just personality or just pop psychology ideas about what made people tick. I definitely noticed unusual behavior, I just couldn't really explain it. When I did learn about attachment theory, what I think was most illuminating for me was the focus on childhood experiences, that a person's childhood could really have such an immense influence on them, and that it could explain a lot of fundamental things about them. And it's those attachment experiences and adaptations that end up leaking into their personality, their habits, their language, their philosophies about life, and even their religious beliefs. And it's so helpful that there are really only 3 major attachment patterns. Are they vulnerable and accommodating? Are they aloof and judgmental? The way someone acts can tell me a lot about their childhood history, how they think, and what their needs are. And it gets deeper. It's not just about what you can observe, it's also how you feel around people and what kind of enactments they try to draw you into. David Wallen, in his book Attachment and Psychotherapy, talks about 3 ways that a person's disowned, dissociated experiences can end up leaking into your personal emotional experience, or get enacted between the 2 of you, or can be embodied in that person's posture, gestures, or facial expressions without them even realizing it. I love attachment theory because it helps me understand people. Some of the coolest things in attachment theory are some of the insights from childhood development and the adult attachment interview. Attachment, obviously, is an innate biological adaptation. Just like birds know how to build a nest, we engage in these complex behaviors based on our readings of our environments. And these adaptations change our brains. Our brains wire to adapt. And sometimes our brains wire to seek and hope for an attachment figure, or sometimes to deny or suppress our feelings. Secure attachment isn't just about safety and survival and keeping our parents close. It's so much more than that. It's about emotional sensitivity and developing emotional intelligence. And to some degree, it seems like it's also about intellectual development and creating complex mental constructs that help us see the world in a more accurate and helpful way. They've really figured out the nuts and bolts of how attachment works and how children learn to become emotionally mature. There's this concept of marked and contingent mirroring. Parents see the child's emotion, they physically or vocally mirror the child's emotion, but in a way that shows the child that the emotion isn't contagious. The parent names the emotion. This emotional attunement is followed by soothing. This process teaches the child about their own emotions, and once the parent becomes internalized in the child's mind, the child learns how to regulate themselves. When you start looking at the research with the adult attachment interview and Peter Fonagy's work with metacognition, you start to really get a sense of what it means to be emotionally and intellectually mature and secure. The AAI shows that secure people tend to see the world in a more objective, balanced way, that they see the limitations of their own knowledge, that they are able to monitor their own speech and thoughts, and that they lack defensiveness. It starts getting really deep and philosophical because you start to realize that secure adults believe in these universal truths about the world, a belief that we are a part of a common humanity, and that knowledge has limits. I love attachment theory because it holds a lot of secrets to wisdom. It has the answers to a lot of life's philosophical and moral questions. I'll leave you with one last reason why I love attachment theory. Attachment theory is broad and diverse enough that it's a great starting point for learning about psychology and neuroscience in general. Attachment theory touches on topics related to child development, metacognition, ethology, evolutionary psychology, communication, defense mechanisms, adult romantic relationships, the divided brain, and more. Therapeutic modalities related to attachment include internal family systems, EMDR, psychoanalysis, and somatic therapies, just to name a few. If you find psychology interesting, attachment theory is a great place to start. Attachment theory was an unpopular, underappreciated theory that eventually rose to prominence as the dominant paradigm in child development and adult romantic relationships. It's one of those theories that continues to inspire awe and wonder and makes me glad to be alive. If this video resonated with you, please hit that subscribe button for more videos on attachment theory. Thanks for watching and see you next time.